All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to this ongoing series of the Empathy Circles hosted by the Empathy Tent. My name is Jess and I am the host for today with Alex, who is also the co-facilitator for today. Our intention with those Empathy Circles is to bridge the political and social divides and to build a culture of empathy with this tool that we call Empathy Circle. So for those who are not necessarily familiar with what is an empathy circle, we define it as a small group of individuals, like today, who come together and speak, listen, and reflect back to each other using a timed and structured format. For those who are watching, I'd like to remind that we are recording all of our empathy circles. It's available online on Facebook and on YouTube. You are invited to take part. There's no prerequisite, it's free, and you can visit us at empathytent.com or empathycircle.com to join and participate or to become yourself a host and facilitator. All right, I'd like you to go around and share your name and where you are calling from. So I can start. My name is Jess. I am originally from France, and right now I am in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, on the East Coast. And Bob, and after Sophia. Bob, would you like to start?
I'm Bob Brown, and today I'm in San Diego, and I met Evan and Dave about a year and been a happy participant in empathy circles and tents all since. So it's a great joy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And next, Sophia.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Sophia, and I'm from sitting in Sweden.
Sweden, fantastic. Oh, I love having people all around the world. Thank you, Sophia. And then let's go to Tamara and Greta after. Tamara, you are muted.
Hi, I am Tamara, and I am in the United States in Indiana, Eastern Indiana.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Tamara and Greta, and then we'll finish with Alex.
Hi, I'm Greta Hansing. I'm in the United States in Albany, New York on the East Coast, and this is my first time in an empathy circle. I'm happy to be here.
And we're happy to have you. Thank you, Greta. Alex, go ahead.
Okay, great. I'm Alex. I'm from the United States in Virginia. As I said a few minutes before we started recording, I'm getting a lesson in kind of balancing a bunch of needs at the same moment because I'm at the beach right now. And I was racing to get here and had to eat something, go to the bathroom, find Wi-Fi, and then I was like, oh, I don't have power. I had to do that. Now the sun is beating down on me, so now I'm putting a shirt over my head to protect myself from the sun. But luckily, everything's working out, so happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us from the beach.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would be invested in doing an empathy circle if I'm on the beach. Thank you for being here, Alex.
That's my pleasure.
Okay, a little bit of housekeeping. I want to remind everybody the call is 2 hours. And we're going to stop 15 minutes before the end so that we can reflect a little bit on our experience. And if you have any suggestion on how we can make an empathy circle better or your experience through Zoom. And that's all for housekeeping. We will take turn to speak, and I will take care of the timing. It's going to be about 5 minutes each person. So for Greta, who's been the first time, it's very simple. We're going to take turn. The person who's going to speak is going to choose who they want to speak to.
Okay.
And then the people are going to enter in a dialogue, or like the speaker is going to express whatever they want. And then the listener is going to reflect back, and it's going to be a whole like back and forth during 5 minutes. Then after 5 minutes, you might see me like waving or interrupting, saying, okay, time is up. We'll wrap up the conversation, and then the listener will then become the speaker. Does that make sense, Greta?
I think so, but I just want to make sure. So if I'm the listener, will I be reflecting back what I heard that person say or answering their questions?
Only reflecting back. And you know what? I think what we can do, we can try to model it. I'll model it with Alex so that you can have an idea what does that mean reflecting back. And I love your question because you're right, reflecting back. It's not giving advice. It's not questioning. It's really, you are here solely to listen and making sure by checking in with the person if you really heard what they say, right?
Okay. Is it cheating if I take notes?
It's not cheating. No, you can. You are free to take notes. Thank you for your question, Greta. I'm sure the people who are going to watch this video is going to appreciate the clarifications. All right, I'm going to mute you back. And before we start, I see that someone else just joined. So hi, is it Andre or Andrew?
Andre. The first
Andre.
One. Hi.
All right. Where are you calling from, Andre?
Coruña, Spain.
Spain, welcome. Is it your first time on Empathy Circle or you're familiar with us? You just froze, Andrew. I don't know if you heard my question.
It's frozen for me.
Okay. Well, we'll start the modeling, and then once Andre can unfroze himself, we'll get back to him. Would you like to model, Alex, or you want me to do it?
Either way, I'm happy to do either way.
Okay. Do you want me to speak, or you want to be the speaker?
Why don't you speak?
Okay, great. So I'll be the speaker, and Alex, you're going to be my listener. Okay, I forgot to mention something very important. The topic for today is talking about our fears, which is a very big topic. Okay. So I have 5 minutes. I'll do just a quick 2-minute demo for this time. One of my biggest fear is, well, climate change. It's been it's challenging because it feels sometimes far away and sometimes it's very brutal when you hear in the news. Like living in Toronto, I can only really on a personal level sense the weather is a bit all like inconsistent, more inconsistent than usual. But you know, so it's not necessarily directly impacting me, but my parents-in-law for living in New Brunswick, for example, got flooded twice in a row, which is very unusual. So there are, you know, those things that are just really, yeah, scary.
Okay. So I heard you say that one of your biggest fears is climate change, and it sounds it's scary for you, even though it's not having these necessarily immediate impacts. And it is having some, but it sounds like it's also just kind of scary that it's out there, even if it's not immediately impacting you.
Yeah, because when what I meant was like, it's scary. It's almost hard. How can I say? It's a tangible. It's intangible. You know, the fear is all. It's more like an anxiety that's always constant, without having a clear like, oh my God, kind of freak out moment. So it's almost like it's very. It's weighing down. Like it's this constant like worrying more than a fear. Maybe I don't know.
Okay. So you're kind of noticing another feeling in there is more of just a constant anxiety or worry about the climate change. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I feel heard, and my 2 minutes are up, so that's a good timing.
Okay.
Okay, Alex, so your turn. You can now choose who you want to talk to.
Okay. Are we going for just 2 minutes or?
I think right now we can do 5 minutes. I think I wanted to just model it for Greta and to keep it short. And now I think we can go with 5 minutes. Before we start, I wanted to check in with Andre because Andre, your video froze just before. So I don't know if you heard my question. I was just wanting to check in with you if you knew about Empathy Circle already.
Well, I also have a video functioning, and I heard you speaking, and I heard the attempt to reflect.
Okay.
And we're changing to 5 minutes.
Ari, okay, great. So it sounds like you're getting what's happening. So great. So we can continue, Alex. Thank you, Andre.
Okay. I'll talk to Bob if you'd be willing.
I'm listening.
Okay, great. Kind of a question, actually, Jess. So do we have to discuss fears, or can it be anything?
Thank you for asking. We are suggesting the topic for today. It's kind of like really, we keep it vague on purpose. So it's really whatever is alive in you, whatever feels the most comfortable for you to share. Even if you want to talk about your cat, that's fine too.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've noticed in previous ones that we've done that sometimes it helps just to kind of use your first round as almost a check-in, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll kind of do that. So like I kind of said in the beginning of the call, I'm at the beach and there's a lot going on. This is a first time ever doing a call, like an empathy call from these circumstances. So there's a lot of on-the-fly adaptation happening for me.
So I hear you say you're at the beach and it's a first time outdoor empathy call and lots of things going on and you're on the fly and kind of a fresh new experience.
Yeah. And it's cool to be able to do it here. But I don't know the circumstances, and we got up at like 4:30 to start driving this morning, so I'm a little sleep deprived, and so a lot going on. But it's actually nice to kind of be here and just kind of settle down and get to connect with people and kind of do this empathy circle thing. This is kind of a nice grounding exercise too.
So you've been up this morning since 4:30. There's sleep deprivation involved. And here you are with this great group, so away we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm kind of just seeing if anything comes up for me as far as the prompt goes of fears. Okay, well, one thing that's coming up is my first time being a facilitator for the empathy circle, so I have a little bit of fear about that, of what exactly I'll need to do, what things will arise that I'll need to kind of step into to help out on.
So this is your first time co-facilitating, and there's a little fear connected to that, and you want to know what you'll be expected to do, how you will step in and be a facilitator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's also exciting. It's I think it'd be cool. I want to do similar things like this on my own, so this is a good kind of learning opportunity. But it's always a little, it's a little on the edge for me, a little on the edge of the comfort zone of like, I want to make a good impression. I don't know most of you, so it's some stakes. I have my butt in the game, so to speak.
So you want to make a good impression and you want to do this on your own. And so there's some anxiety involved, but I see a smile on your face, so away we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of thinking about bigger fear topics. Kind of thinking back to what happens for me on a regular basis. What kind of things do I have that I think about? I may be kind of cued by what Jessica said, but I'm thinking of climate change a little bit and sort of environmental stuff. I just read a book called The Sixth Extinction, and it's kind of talking about the human impact on the environment and the ecosystem. And Um, and it feels very formidable to try and confront this issue that involves basically the whole human race, and how can I even get any traction on that, or how to, even approach it. Kind of, I don't even know where to begin.
So I hear you saying that you've just finished a book, The Sixth Extinction, and it details the human species involvement with extinction. And so there's that how do you get traction around that issue in your own soul, and a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, and I guess, are we at the 5 minute? Okay, I felt like it was going a little long. Well, yeah, I think I'll stop there. I think that's a good kind of stopping point. Thank you.
Sophia, would you please listen to me? Okay. I thought about fears in getting ready for this, and I have a fear that people in the United States who own guns will continue to shoot innocent people, just like yesterday. Where I live in Thousand Oaks, last November, we had a shooting in a restaurant and 11 people died. And yesterday in Virginia Beach, 12 people died. And that's a very distressing, disheartening fear.
Yeah, so what I heard you say is that you're scared because weapons are still legal in the United States, and more people are dying because of this. Is that correct?
That's correct. I feel heard. Thank you. Yeah. And I have two sons. My wife and I have two sons, and they're in their 30s. And I can't imagine getting a phone call from some police officer saying that my child has been killed. I mean, that happened to families in our town. It happened yesterday. And it is just so dark.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing you say is that you imagine yourself having that kind of phone call where your son has been killed. And that is very frightening.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so in thinking about this over the past week, I made the connection that when I'm afraid of something, I'm worried about suffering. And the Buddha and Jesus and Lao Tzu and all kinds of people have, over the centuries, talked about suffering. And so in response to my fears, I need to surrender to the fear and allow the wisdom of people like the Buddha and Jesus, and allow that wisdom to come up. And there may be pain, and it's going to be worked out.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing you say is that you really try to embrace this fear that you have with the wisdom of Buddha, the wisdom that Buddha has brought forward to the world. And I'm not sure, do you find some comfort in that? Maybe?
Yes, I do. It's not complete. It's partial. I don't like pain. I don't like feeling bad. And I just have to trust that the universe is going to take care of me and all families who have been so hurt by this. And in the meantime, there will be pain and anguish, and it will be of some value.
Right. So I'm hearing you say that you have partially found some comfort in that, and you are partially embracing that you have to, not sure what the word I'm looking for. I'm not an English speaking person. Kind of like safety and feeling unsafe. Okay, is that, yeah?
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah.
And this weekend, my wife is in Arizona with her mother and her sister, and so I'm bachelor guy this weekend. And I thought about, at some point, either I or my wife will die, and one of us will be left behind. And I thought that's going to be a cause of sorrow and suffering too. So I'm kind of afraid of that too.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is that you think about death in general, not only in the case of being shot in. Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And that is a frightening thought to you.
Well, Sophia, thank you very much. I feel fully heard.
I'll choose Tamara. So should I start? Just start, or should she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm unmuting myself.
Yes. I have a lot of fears, but I thought that I would speak with fears that I have in the world. And that is, I feel so passionate about bringing empathy to the world. And I have noticed that people seem to, they don't seem to fully get what empathy is, even though they say that they are empathic. They don't bring forward the kind of empathy that MVC does, and I believe that that bringing forward empathy is the main thing that we need to do to like save the world, and I don't see that happening that much.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you have concern that people are not truly empathic, that they are, maybe I could put it in that you're saying that they're missing that part of connection and that the world really needs it. And without that, it's very, it concerns you greatly for the future of our world. Is this what I'm hearing?
Yes, exactly. And also, that, no, I lost my thought now. Yeah, it just scares me that people seem to get empathy so wrong, and they don't even think that it's that important. And I actually listened to a very popular psychologist. I don't remember his name, but he was saying that empathy is only for the weak people, and that is so disturbing to me because so many people are listening to me. Jordan Peterson, right? Yeah, I that scares me very. Yeah, I get really scared when I hear those kinds of things.
So what I'm hearing is that you listen to Jordan Peterson make a statement that that empathy, that people who used empathy were weak or that it was a waste of time, of their time. In other words, he did not give empathy the space and the honor that you would like it to hold in people's lives. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah.
And that, yeah. And that
Yeah.
that really scares you.
Yes. And especially because so many people look up to this man. That I think that is what scares me the most, because I feel that empathy is so urgent in the world. And I also want to correct, I didn't mention this, but he said that empathy should only be giving to the weak people, like old people and small children, but not to like the main population. And I just I don't know what to say about that. It's just so disturbing.
So I'm hearing you say that Jordan Peterson's perspective on empathy was that it is only for people who are weak and eldered and maybe infirmed, that it is not, in his perspective, it's not a part of the normal human process. And yet you are expressing that you feel that it is, that his perspective, if it is part of the majority of people, that a large part of connection and compassion is being lost in our interactions globally. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, yes. And yeah, it just seemed, yeah, 5 minutes have gone. Thank you so much for listening.
My pleasure. Oh, I've got, excuse me, I've got to choose somebody. And I am new to this, so please, can I invite Greta?
Hi.
Hi, and I don't know if I invite you to speak or if I speak.
So yes, you were doing great, Tamara. This is exactly how you can do it. You can say, okay, now that you heard someone, you can choose who you want to speak to, and then you invite the person, would you like to hear me speak? And the person can agree or pass. And then Greta seems okay. So now you can speak whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I speak to my fears, and my fear is right now that I'm very sleepy and I'm not coherent. but I have, I guess my fear is for security. I feel a lack of security in many, many ways. I find that the political unrest that Bob expressed earlier, that the state of the United States is very, very concerning. I feel that people are missing the connection in what it really means to be human and to help their neighbor. I feel that the economics are being threatened globally, and as well as the environmental threats that are happening all over. And yet, in the middle of all those fears, I also find that I have to take solace in my practice. I do meditate. And so I find that I have to take solace in that, or it would be very destabilizing for myself.
So I'm hearing that first you're a little afraid about coherence because you're feeling sleepy. And moreover, you having a fear of the state of the world, really, as far as economics and environmental and political. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. And I think if I focus too much on what I fear about, I can work myself up into a lot of anxiety. And I find that very uncomfortable and non-productive. So I know that every day looking at the news and seeing more gun violence and more children missing or people violating other people's rights, it's very concerning. That what I do is very important in taking a step to behave differently, to be compassionate, and to, at least in my own life, take the steps to not follow those trends.
Mm-hmm. So I hear you saying that all of these things that you're talking about can bring on a lot of anxiety. And you had previously mentioned trying to find solace with all of this through your meditation practice, but that watching the news is very disheartening, and it's hard to deal with that.
Yes, that is exactly how I'm feeling. Also, being new to this, I have a fear that I don't know when 5 minutes is up. So, and you're on my phone.
And Tamara, if I can help you clarify that, if you feel that you're done before the 5 minutes, that's fine. I'm showing the 5 minutes as well. And if you feel there's more you want to speak, we can continue. Like, we are a small group and I'm willing to be flexible with it. So it's, fluid. No.
It's okay. I'll feel heard and complete.
Great.
Okay, so Greta, now it's Tamara feels complete for now, so you can now choose someone you want to talk to.
Okay. Is it Andre? Is that how you pronounce your name? Hi.
Yes, you pronounce it correctly.
Oops.
Great to listen to you.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm having problems hearing you. I've got my volume turned up all the way.
Yeah, Andrea, I agree with Greta. Your volume is very low for me too.
Oh, sorry about that. I'll try to speak louder then.
Thank you.
But when I yell at you, don't consider I'm yelling at you. I'm just trying to be loud.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. So I think my biggest fear right now, I have more fears now from what people have been talking about. It brought up some new things, but mostly my fear right now is around the social worker exam for licensure, because I just graduated with my master's in social work, and it's very expensive to take the exam, and if you fail, even if you are 1 point below the failing score, you still fail, and you have to pay $600 all over again to take it again. So it's a lot of pressure. It's a big fear right now.
Okay, so I hear you saying that you share all the fears previously exposed by other people. And in addition to that, your personal current, the most significant fear is that you are going through some sort of classes or not classes, tests that will entitle you for some sort of certificate. And it's expensive, and you are very in fear whether you're going to pass.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking the necessary steps to pass by studying an hour every day. And I took a workshop on how to pass the exam. But at the same time, I can definitely find myself having negative thoughts about, it doesn't matter how much I study, I will probably fail. So as much as I'm hearing that, I'm trying to listen to subliminal music with messages of positivity and confidence. So I'm happy that I recognize those voices and really trying to work on counteracting them.
Okay, so what I hear is that you experiencing self-confidence issue, and you almost hearing some sort of voices that push you into that oblivion, that you're not going to do it, you're not going to make it, but you are happy at the same time that you can acknowledge those bad thoughts. I would not call them voices, but they're bad thoughts. And you feel a little more assertive. Since you hear them, you can recognize them, you can kind of withdraw from them.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Did I miss anything?
I think that's great. Yeah. Thank you. I feel heard. And I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I will choose you back. How's
Okay.
that? Okay. Thank you. So very briefly, first I want to give a short comment about global warming and other social universal problems. I personally think, and I'm not going to waste time of yours or just use the time, I'm sorry, to prove what I'm going to say, but I have researched the global warming issue, and anyone who is interested or who experiences anxiety or fears about that, you just very quickly can Google global warming scam, and you will have a lot of very serious people, scientists, people who dedicated their lives in researching the weather issues, in historical problems, patterns, and also very interesting material regarding how this scam is being used. So I personally don't believe in global warming at all. I know, based on my research, that this is a complete scam done for political, economical, and other corrupt reasons. But I'm not going to try to prove, just I suggest anyone who has fear about it should relieve themselves from the fear by just simply researching on Google. There's a lot of good material there, very excellent material. Just global warming scam, Google. Okay, about the fears. As a matter of fact, the people experiencing fears like that, I just noticed that it's kind of a disease. And the fear is normally, by the rule of thumb, is about something that can externally affect me. Either guns, or the shooting, or atrocity that happen outside of me, and they can affect myself negatively. And that drives people to the edge sometimes and disturbs their lives, their ability to concentrate on different things, innerly on different things. I stop here and let you reflect. And you can skip global warming kind of stuff, because it's past.
Okay. So what I think I'm hearing you saying is you're talking about fear being something that people worry about externally that could affect them. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so something that exists in the current culture, on the current societal trends, kind of abstract things, to put it in a nutshell, things that we, none of us, can control. And just based on this type of fears, I think there are traps. Because since we cannot control whether the guns are going to be used or not, or permitted or not permitted. We cannot control some other bad people doing bad things on the general level, on a higher level, so to speak. What we can control, though, is our thoughts. And it's very difficult. You mentioned your thoughts of anxiety that you're not going to pass your exam. And that's a typical example of what I'm trying to say. So we are what we think. We are what we think. It's not what we do. Because our deeds are results of our thoughts. We have concepts, predispositions, moods, and all those things are sources for our deeds, how we act. I stop here.
Okay, so I hear you saying that there are fears of a lot of things that are outside our control, but we should maybe rather focus on things that are within our control. I think what you're saying is, like, with this test, for example, the way I could make that fear more in my control, for example, is by doing the studying, for example, whereas something like
yeah, thank you.
not in control. Yeah.
I'm kind of not, I didn't want to hint at just, yeah, that's the right conclusion you make.
Is an example. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So about fears in general, what I would love to say is that there are different types of fears. There are fears of being punished, or fears not to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
These are the two brands, and the third one, I'm afraid to offend those who I love. See the difference? These three types of fears, I think it's very, very important to me, because I went through this experience to realize how important it is to distinguish. In other words, it's a fear of slave, I know the time's up, fear of slave, or fear of contractor, and fear of loving son, to offend the love by not doing right things. So this is a completely different direction. It's a fear of...
And Andrea, I would like to interrupt you because I really would like to be fair and respect everybody's time. And would you mind wrapping up in like one sentence when you're trying to say, so great, I can reflect you back and then we can, because the 5 minutes are up and I really wanted to respect that everybody can have enough time.
Yeah, I'm sorry to try to squeeze in so many ideas, but I basically heard what I said, but I would like Greta to reflect, not you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, because you were making different points, and I wanted to ask you if you could just summarize it, and then Greta can reflect back.
Greta, do you need summarization or?
I think what I'm hearing is that you're talking about different kinds of fear, several different kinds of fears.
Yeah. But you want to reiterate what these fears are?
I
not feel hurt until I feel understood.
Mm-hmm.
The game. And if it's not permissible to use time for your reflection, that's okay with me too. I don't want to break the rules, but it's important. What I'm trying to say, if you will not reflect me correctly, I will not feel heard.
Right. So different kinds of fears, whether it has to do with loving another person or what they're going to think about you, and external fears versus internal fears. There are a few that you mentioned. Am I getting the concept?
Yeah, but the main concept you didn't get, unfortunately. There's fear of being punished, or fear, and I'm reiterating specifically, hoping that it'll be understood and I'll be heard. So it's fear of getting punished, or fear of not getting what I earned. And the third one is fear of offending love. Completely different type of fears. They're the internal energies that drive how we control our thoughts, which is who we are. Mm-hmm. That also was missed. We are what we think, mm-hmm. not what we do.
Okay. So I'm hearing you saying we are what we think rather than what we do, because what we do is fueled by what we think. And the main three kinds of fear are fear of being punished, fear of external love, I think you said, and it's the middle one.
Reward for what I do.
I'm sorry?
And not to get a reward, not be rewarded for what
I do.
Not to be
rewarded, yes.
And the third one is fear of myself being selfish, mm-hmm. proud of myself, and offending by this attitude those who I love. Mm-hmm. And I've been heard. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Greta, you can choose whomever, and that is interesting because I'd like, for me, it's a reminder that as to refocus for our empathy circle is it is important to be able to ask, you know, can you repeat until I feel fully heard? It's also important to keep in mind that when you are the speaker, if you speak for a long time, it's very challenging for someone to reflect back, right? So I'd like to invite actually everybody to keep in mind that try to pause as much as you can so that the person can reflect back. And it's okay also for the listener to say, do you mind if you can pause so that I can actually reflect back? So that's a good reminder for all of us, I think. So Greta, if you want to choose someone.
Sure. I'll choose Sophia.
Yes, I'm ready.
Hi. So I think one of the other things that I'm afraid of is death, and a lot of it is about not just about me dying, but about others dying.
Oh, so you are afraid of dying, and you are also afraid of others dying. Is that
Yeah.
what you say? Yeah.
Yes, and it's a very expansive fear. It's hard to pinpoint what exactly about it is the most upsetting because it's in like a lot of different categories.
Okay, so you're not sure about what it actually this fear is about? Is that what I'm hearing you say? Yeah.
Yes. I think a lot of it is the fact, just the fact that it's not like other irrational anxieties that I might have, because I do have an anxiety disorder. This to me feels more rational, I guess, because it is going to happen. I guess therapeutically, my therapist is trying to remind me it's not going to happen right now, but for some reason that doesn't seem to ease the fear.
Right. So you're not questioning, but sort of like seeing that there is some valid fears around the fear of dying because it's actually going to happen. And I also hear you say that you don't feel comforted with this thought. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes. One of the areas that this fear goes into is with food. So it's very hard for me to eat meat, to eat animals, because I think about them having had to die for that. And there obviously are a lot of other ways to get protein, but it can be challenging. And it's just very frustrating. And I know frustrating also for my spouse, because I might think I'm okay eating chicken and he'll make something with chicken, and as soon as I put it in my mouth, I start thinking about how it died and I can't do it. But then I feel like I've wasted the animal's life.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is that you maybe feel you get reminded of death when you eat animals, and since this is a very huge fear for you, yeah, it's difficult for you to eat meat.
Yes. And in addition to that, really, it's that when it comes to food, I'm thinking about the animal that died. It does remind me of death, but it also reminds me of what it was like for that animal to have to die and the way that they were killed, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds like you also feel a lot of empathy towards the animal who died, and yeah, Is that correct?
Yes,
A lot of
yes,
compassion for that animal. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. I definitely notice that it pops up more, this fear, the more anxiety I'm having. I wonder sometimes if it's like psychologically, if it's like the fear I'm most comfortable having, if that makes sense. So it's come to where I recognize, oh, I must be having an extreme amount of stress and anxiety in my life right now because I go to that fear.
Right. So I'm not sure if you mean the fear of death in general or the fear of eating animals. Is
Both.
that what you're both?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're thinking about if that is because the stress that you experience in your life and
Mm-hmm.
that how that would contribute to how the fear of death in general contributes to the stress that you already have. Is that correct?
I think so. But in addition to that, a little bit more emphasis on recognizing that the particular fear of death, although a real fear, is also a mark for me to recognize I'm very stressed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, so you're questioning whether the fear comes first, fear of death comes first, or this, if this, you being stressed,
Mm-hmm.
the chicken or the egg, sort of.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Thank you. I feel heard. Thanks.
thank you. I just have to close my windows because it's very cold here. Sorry. I'll choose Alex.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to go with the political and world things that I'm fearing. One thing that I think it's kind of in the forefront in all countries, but we especially talk about this in Sweden a lot. And it's the topic of immigration. And also that ISIS have, they don't have territories in the Middle East anymore. So now they're coming back to their main countries. And Sweden is not very well prepared for this. So yeah, that's a big fear for me.
Okay. So you're bringing up the fear of immigration. Sorry, I'm gonna mute first. There's a motorcycle driving past. Sorry about that. So you're having this fear that there's going to be this influx of immigrants due to ISIS. I don't quite understand. Is it the fear of all these people coming in, or? But it sounds like there's some fear related to it.
It's because we in Sweden, we are very politically correct here in Sweden. So people don't like to touch in the kind of sect-like religion that comes with all religion, but because ISIS is a terroristic sect, it's not a religion as I see it. But because we don't want to touch that at all here in Sweden, it also means that maybe we are too compassionate, so that people who who don't have good intentions coming here, they can come here and make a mess.
Okay. So in Sweden, I heard you say that very politically correct and sort of yeah. So I heard you say that, and so there's this fear that they're going to come in and they have this very different culture, I guess, and it's kind of a fear of like how this political correctness will kind of respond to this very different culture coming in.
Yeah, and it's not about the culture, but the kind of people, the kind of people who run these kind of religious. I mainly talk about ISIS. That's not a culture. I more see it as people who are not that empathic, and I'm afraid to that we can't handle those kinds of people here in Sweden, and what effects that will do to our country, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. So you have ISIS coming in, and you see them as a less empathic type of people, and so there's uncertainty as to what kind of effect that's going to have in Sweden when these kinds of people come in.
Yes, exactly. And also that because we are so open-minded here in Sweden, and I really like that. I don't think we should stop the open-mindedness, but sometimes I feel that we could be a little bit more careful with the open-mindedness, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Okay. So Sweden has this quality of being open-minded, but it sounds like you're wanting to guard it a little bit because you're worried about, you know, what's the result of being open-minded when some people like ISIS come in. You want to you're needing to protect the open-mindedness or something like that.
Yes, I feel heard. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let's see. I don't know what to talk about exactly. I always have this happen for me when we do these where there's some, you know, I have a reaction to one person talking and I want to say something, but it ends up being 2 or 3 turns until I get to speak, and now I have completely different thoughts running through my head, and I don't know if I should try and backtrack or go with what I'm feeling in the moment. Well, okay. So I guess
you need to choose someone, Alex.
Yes, that's a good point. Let's see. Tamara, would you be willing? Okay, looks like you're muted, by the way.
Here we go. I unmuted you, Tamara. You're unmuted. You're good.
I'm unmuted. Okay.
Yeah, I unmuted you.
Cool. Yeah. So okay. So I think the first thing that sort of came up is just thinking a little bit about what Andre said, and I think kind of the first thing that's coming up for me is there's definitely a little bit of tension because my intuition is that some of the things he expressed are not going to be agreed with by everyone here and the people who watch the video. But I also have some just appreciation for hearing a different perspective and for him being willing to share it. So I'll stop there.
So what I'm hearing you say, Alex, is that you are honoring that there's going to be differences of opinions, and that could create some tension. And in spite of that, it also gives the opportunity and is welcomed as a different perspective. And you honor that as well.
Yeah. And just to add to that, I definitely feel the tension, like in me at least. You know, as he was speaking, I was feeling some tension. Sort of also as a facilitator, I think there's a little bit of that of like, okay, this is going to be a new thing to kind of like, well, I'm not trying to say it's a new thing, but anytime it's something that could be disagreeable, I don't know. I had some concern of, okay, I'm going to need to step in here or something. I don't know. So there's just this kind of tension and like feeling inside of me.
So I am wondering if I could get some clarity from you, Alex, because you're using the word tension, and I'm questioning if that is also equated in when you're expressing yourself as fear. Am I hearing that you're saying that there's some fear in being a facilitator with these different point of views?
Yeah, you're right. Tension is probably a little bit of a softener. Yeah, I'm afraid. At the same time, I'm totally going forward with it. I'm not freezing in the fear. But you're right. There's a fear of I won't know what to do, and I don't know what's going to happen. This kind of stuff.
So I'm hearing you say that yeah, there's a little bit of fear in the unknown and what's going to happen, but you're also feeling secure enough that it's okay.
Yeah. And one other thing I wanted to say is while I want to offer empathy to people here or people who are watching who might not have agreed with some of what he said, that it can be hard to listen to somebody and not have a chance to jump in and have your differences heard. Well, maybe I'll stop there real quick, just can reflect that.
So you're saying that you would like to speak to people who are listening, who will be listening, and who may have differences of opinion and not being able to jump in and state their opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand if anyone is feeling that way, I understand having that wanting to say something, and but we have this kind of structured format, so you're just kind of listening. So yeah, I understand that. But and one other thing I wanted to say is there's a little part of me that actually feels I felt sort of touched actually listening to Andre, because it almost sounds like he was trying to be comforting in some ways, like, you know, these fears are outside of your control. Here are some ways to kind of, you know, focus on things that are within your control. And, you know, there was a tone of trying to offer some help or advice. So on some level, I felt a warmth, kind of a touch feeling, despite the tension as well. But yeah.
So Alex, what I'm hearing is that in spite of having the tension, you also wanted to give empathy to the people that are listening that may be having these same fears, but you also honored Andre's efforts to bring about ease in other people regarding global warming. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. You're very welcome. Is it my turn to choose then? Are we at 5 minutes?
Yep.
I will ask for Bob. Bob, are you willing to exchange empathy?
I'm listening.
Okay, and I'm still very tired. I've been wanting to fall asleep. I want to take off in a different direction about how, if we focus on fear, it can escalate into huge anxiety. And I hesitate to say that at least in my perspective, that focusing too much on fear can create anxiety and even perhaps manifest that which you are afraid of.
So I hear you saying that fear can turn into anxiety, which in turn can manifest that very thing which you're afraid of.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And so for me, this topic is really, really uncomfortable because I don't want to embrace my fears, but rather I would like to go where there's comfort.
So I hear you saying that rather than focus on the fear, you want to focus on where you can find comfort.
Yes, exactly. So if I were to take an example of it, if I was afraid of being bitten by your beautiful dog, I would want to do something to make the dog happy.
So for an example, if you were afraid that my dog would bite you, you'd want to do something to make the dog happy.
Yeah, and I would want to find peace among all of us.
And you'd want to find peace among myself, my dog, and you.
Yes, I most certainly would. Another example would be if there's tension at work, if somebody is, if I'm afraid I'm going to offend somebody, I would want to take the steps, any step that was necessary to bring about an understanding that there would be no offending.
So another example would be at work. If you're concerned about offending someone, you want to be open about that and try to contribute to an atmosphere where no one will be offended.
Right. So, okay, I had to read that. So on a level of fear, I would really, I see fear as insecurity maybe, or a place where I find it contracting and instead of expanding, and maybe also as an opportunity to look into a space and give it some warmth and some attention and some love, and then the fear dissipates.
So I hear you saying that fear can be constricting rather than expanding. And when you are aware of that, you want to pour in what you can to bring love to a situation.
Yes, exactly. And I feel heard.
Okay. Andre, I want to wish you adios, and I wish you could have stayed because I want to hear you more. But good to hear you now, and best wishes. Let's see. Jessica, would you please listen to me?
Sure.
There are more than 7 billion of us on the planet. And one of my fears is that all of us are not going to have an abundant, happy, healthy life. And I'm afraid that things like empathy aren't being used enough to help ensure that people can have an abundant, healthy life.
Yeah, well, you are making the fact is there's over 7 billion people on Earth, and it sounds to me like you want fairness and equality and equity, and for everybody to be able to enjoy life, to be safe, to be happy and have joy, and your fear is like man, like we have this tool that's amazing, that's empathy, and we're not using it enough. And so I'm guessing some frustration as well.
Yes, and I am afraid that there are a number of our neighbors who are anti-empathy, who are very self-centered and very greedy and very exploitative, and they victimize people. And I wish I knew. I'm afraid I don't know the answer to how everybody can avoid that kind of life and into the empathic life.
Wow, yeah. What I'm hearing is, I'm guessing some sadness behind your words of like, wow, our people, like we all the same, and some of us, our neighbors just next door, have this kind of behavior that really is the opposite of what you would like to see in the world and what you think could be helpful. And you feel that there's like you don't have all the answers, and you wish you had. You wish everybody could be saved in a way, and yeah, it sounds like you want happiness for everybody, and seeing that the same species is doing the same thing to each other is just like maddening.
And part of me says we humans have been dealing with these problems for 5,000 or 10,000 years, and it's always been a problem. And so part of me is having difficulty accepting that track record. And how can I maintain my optimism, my hope, and my faith in spite of 5,000 years of some people get the short end of the stick and worse?
Yeah. So it sounds like unfairness is part of human experience, and it's been going on as long as we are aware of human beings, and so you feel like, oh, I'm against like millions of years of the way we do things and the way we treat each other, and you're wondering, how can I keep myself like on a daily basis optimistic and positive that we can make changes, and that we can really that everybody can have the same level of happiness and fairness. Like it's this huge imbalance.
And I think one of my resources I can use to combat these fears and these anxieties is confidence that it's all going to work out at some point. And I need to continue to do what I can to bring everyone to liberté, égalité, fraternité.
So it sounds like you're quoting the French arms, like égalité, liberté, fraternité. Wow, that's amazing, because you were just sharing, one of your biggest fear, and you're ending, it sounds like, with finding techniques every day to keep myself at a level that I actually can contribute in a way. I can show up in a way that I can be helpful. I want to feel confident in that, what I know about myself and what I know about also. You didn't say it quite like that, but I heard that what you know, but there's some good in the world as well, and you want to be confident that there's going to be more and more, and that there's also good in the world, and that you, a bit like resonating with Tamara maybe, of like keeping the positive. That's a way to help you keep moving forward.
Yes, and I think listening to you, listening to me, gives me new confidence, new strength, that keep doing what I'm doing and make the best effort possible, and the universe is going to take care of all this somehow.
Yeah, so you're like, okay, it's not like you're saying you're already doing the best you can, and you want to recognize that, and this conversation is helping you realize that, the confidence that you just need to keep doing what you do, and And that's all what we can do, really.
Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Thank you. And it's been 5 minutes exactly. Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much for sharing. Greta?
Hi.
Would you like to listen to me?
Sure.
Thank you. 5 minutes. Yeah, I'd like to come back a bit to what Alex was saying about the facilitation role, and definitely also notice some tension for myself, especially when I disagree with someone's opinion. And I don't want to talk too much about it now because I would want to do that if Andre would be here, so I don't want to do that here, but I noticed that tension in myself too.
So you noticed some tension in yourself when Alex was talking about with a different opinion.
Yeah, and that's so funny because I just this week I spent 2 days in a workshop about authentic facilitation, and we talked a lot about and practiced a lot about conflict. And at first I was like, so I heard my heart beating a bit faster. I'm like, oh my God, am I? I need to showcase that what I've learned, and afraid of, am I going to be able to maintain a safe space for everybody? I know everybody has to take care of themselves too, but I also want people we're talking about a topic that is extremely challenging. And I'm feeling so grateful that we are willing to be here and talk openly with so much vulnerability. And so my fear was oh my God, are people going to still be able to be open if they're not feeling, that the circle is holding them?
So it sounds like you maybe are having some battling, battling is too strong, but some differing emotions between how you're actually responding to hearing a bit of conflict or what could potentially be conflict versus knowing that you just had this workshop on how to handle conflict. Yeah. And also trying to balance between being a helpful facilitator, but wanting people to be able to support themselves at the same time.
Yeah, I'm fascinating with this idea of what I see for me especially when someone says something that I'm feeling pain for, I'm being triggered, and I'm like, wow, no, I really don't disagree. I'm also able to see the other person pain. And in nonviolent communication and NVC, we said, all needs are in the same level. All need matters. And so for me, I would say all pain matters. There's no stronger or not. What we experience is as important as someone else's experience. And as a facilitator, knowing that, even as a facilitator, I'm like, how can I though balance that in a group? If I'm one-on-one, I can take care of myself, do self-empathy. But when I'm in a group, how can I hold everybody to feel heard and seen? And do I need to make sure that the person who's talking and triggering other people maybe potentially is being fully heard, but at the same time, people who are being triggered want to be heard at the same time. So it's really balancing those two things. I'm finding that fascinating.
Yes. So I think I hear you talking about in NVC, we talk, nonviolent communication, we talk about all needs matter, but you're saying also all pain matters. And balancing how to let the person be heard who may be triggering other people who may also want to be talking in response to that, and balancing that.
Yeah, wow. Your reflection is amazing, Greta. I feel fully heard. Thank you so much.
Good.
I'm complete. So you can choose now who you want to speak to, or you can pass to. It's up to you.
Okay. Let's see. How about Tamara? Or Tamara, I'm sorry. Which do you prefer, Tamara or Tamara?
It's Tamara or Tamara, either one. It doesn't bother me. My mom says one thing, I say another. Tamara is fine.
Okay, Tamara. So let's see. I think probably going off of the previous conversation, I think a fear of mine in general is when something happens where I'm talking to someone who has a differing opinion from mine. I have very strong reactions in my body and also in my mind because I may just so strongly disagree with them, but want to be very careful and sensitive about how I express that or don't express it.
So what I'm hearing you say, Greta, is that when you're in a situation where there's a difference of opinion, that you first feel a tension in your body because there is you want to express yourself, but at the same time you want to be respectful of the other person's opposing opinion.
Right.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, absolutely. And I love nonviolent communication, but I wish it was like something that was taught in schools. And I actually designed a workshop I offered to a couple different grades about empathy to learn, for the kids to learn, since it is something we have to learn, to decrease bullying. But I mean, a lot of it they were not familiar with at all. I mean, they're little kids, and it can be hard trying to have a conversation, I think, coming from NVC, talking to somebody who doesn't understand that language yet. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes total sense to me. But let me reflect back. What you're saying is that, and I might need some clarification here, but I think I heard you say that you created a program for children, but you also find that our present level of language does not embrace the dynamics that NVC, that nonviolent communication provides for listening and expressing oneself?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
The fear that stems from that is the political climate, at least in the United States right now. The language is very different. It's really going away from empathic language and compassion. And it's very upsetting and fearful to think about how it is impacting children. I mean, everybody, but even young children who are growing up with this as their norm.
So you're saying, let's see if I'm hearing you correctly, that the current, may I use the word toxic language that is being utilized in our political, in our society at this time is not offering an opportunity for people and in your world, in mostly with children,
Mm-hmm.
to learn to be empathetic and compassionate with one another. Is that
Right.
what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. It really is an abuse of power, I feel. And it's just, I think it happens a lot more than people realize. When you're in a position of power, like the person in the White House, and you say things, it seems to give permission to that kind of language, and it's very much taking advantage of it, I feel.
And so you're saying that you feel that the current use of language in the way that it's being used, and in a lot of places, including the White House, is giving, the okay to embrace that kind of language, which is damaging. to many people. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
We're right at 5 minutes. I feel very heard. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm glad I could listen. Now it's my turn. So I would like to Sophia, would you be willing to listen?
Yes, I'm willing.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jessica, for that. I would like to embrace this topic of fear by expressing my concerns for how people feel when they're triggered and having fears as a trigger. You know, their utmost inner fear being something that triggers them to react. And without nonviolent communication and the ability to fully express themselves and be heard, that these triggers, these fears are being triggered and there's reactions that are unhealthy. Does that make sense?
Yes. What I'm hearing you say is that you fear people who react on their fears immediately instead of just sitting a little bit with them and expressing them in a more connecting way. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes and no. I kind of don't even fear it, but rather I'm sad. I feel more sad that people are having fears and they're being triggered, and then they're reacting by, for example, the event in Virginia Beach, where somebody is not feeling heard and therefore they're just reacting in a violent manner, as opposed to being able to know that they can go to somebody and express themselves and have their needs met in another way.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing you say is that you see that there is a possibility for violent people to express themselves and be heard with people, and instead of doing sort of like the constructive way of expressing their fears, they act it out, and yeah, that makes you sad. Is that correct?
Yes, it makes me very sad. And I would, when people are afraid and they get triggered and they don't have other know they have other options, I just feel that so much is lost, and not just for themselves, but for the world that they live in. It's just very, very, very painful for me.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is that people don't know that they have the option to be heard with other people, and yeah, it's painful to you.
Exactly. And I would hope that somehow what I do and how I go forward will help other people, and not just me, this empathy circle and everybody that's doing what they can in their through nonviolent communication and whatever other means that people have to reach out and offer hope to people. I hope it would quell those fears and give them security.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is that you feel some sort of hope around the thing that we're doing here, and I don't know if you're a teacher or something, NVC teacher, but it sounds like you want to bring this kind of work out in the world so that people do get to know that there is options.
Exactly. Exactly. I feel very heard. Was my time up? I don't know. I don't
Yes,
have.
yeah, and yeah, you had like 40 seconds left, so we can stop here if you want.
Okay.
So Sophia, if you want to choose someone else, we still have 10 minutes, so we can do 2 more rounds.
I'll choose you, Jessica.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I'm
I said it
listening.
in the Swedish way.
That's okay.
That's the Swedish way. Yeah, I actually got a little triggered before, and that is when both Andrew and Tamara expressed that fear is. As I heard it, they expressed that sort of like fear of people having fears. And to me, I think that is the reason why people get anxious, because we're in so much denial of our fears, and because we don't get heard in our fears, people don't even want to touch the fears. They stick around in the body, and yeah, I don't. To me, that's not very. I don't feel very comforted by that.
So let me see if I get it right. I think what I'm understanding is you got like some reaction when you heard like 2 people talking about fear in more like a theoretical kind of way, like fear, like let's talk about fear. What does it do to people? For you, it's almost like maybe I'm guessing a lack of respect for even acknowledging that someone is in fear, and it's not about like, you know, breaking down like what is fear, whatever. You just want to be able to acknowledge the fear of the person and talk about it in an empathic way, and not necessarily getting into the almost like the academic, like what is fear and why we have fear and how does it show up in the body. Like it seemed that it was, am I getting that right?
Yes, exactly. And also to me, I see some kind of value in fear, that it first of all, it has a value to us in that sense that we are animals, so we need to have fear to survive, first of all, but also expressing fears to other people can also bring us closer to each other. So I see some value in expressing fears. It doesn't mean that they have to manifest in some way. It can also be a way to connect with other people.
Yeah, for you, like fear has definitely a potential for growth and a potential to understand each other better. I think I'm hearing that for you, it's a part of the human experience. And if we're not exploring that, we are disconnecting with each other, with yourself and with each other, like between people. And for you, it is important. It is just part of like acknowledging our fear and staying with it and talking about it, being heard because of them is as important as joy, maybe, I'm guessing.
Yes, exactly. It's the same, on the same level as joy. Has different kinds of flavor, what it brings to us, what kind of value it has to us.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely, I for me, in my experience, it has some value to.
Yeah, you really keep saying that, like you really see the huge value that fear can bring to someone. We all experience it. Is it part of how we connect? And you mentioned that not maybe just right there, but even before, like it's also a way like to be a bit of a survival, like to be able to make some judgment, like to be able to be afraid of something is a way to understand what's going on for externally and for us. So you really see it as like you just want to embrace it. You really want to be able to embrace that and people to be able to express their fear.
Exactly. And the thing that it brings up for me is because I was very afraid of my father when I was little. And my mom used to sort of like, no, you don't have to be afraid. Don't be afraid. And that actually made me even more scared of him, because nobody was listening to me. Nobody was taking me seriously. Even if he didn't want to hurt me, the more my mother told me that don't be afraid, the more afraid I got.
Yeah, because it sounds like this experience, when you fear, when you had the courage to express it, was shut down. It was dismissed, and you felt maybe you couldn't breathe, and you couldn't even it just tried to tighten it, and it made this like really painful experience, and it fueled the fear itself, really, that you could not really express it. And it sounded like it was a very traumatic experience for you.
Yes, it was. And that's what I want to bring forward with MVC, to just talk and connect with each other, and don't be so afraid of fear.
Don't be so afraid of fear. Yeah. And we are at the 5 minutes, so is it okay if I just wrap up with a reflection?
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying like you're tying. I'm hearing the reason why you're here, and why you also think that it's why you love NVC, and why you want to see more empathy in the world is like, we need to be able to express our fear. You don't want other girls to be shut down and to be said, no, don't be afraid. You want those kids, you want people to be able to say, hey, I'm afraid, and you want them to be able to be received with their fear as a whole. And you think NVC is a great thing for that? Yeah. Did I miss anything? Oh yeah.
No,
that's fine. Okay. Thank you, Sophia. Okay. Bob.
I'm listening.
Okay. It's going to be the last round, and then after that, after our exchange, we can wrap up, and then we'll do the feedback, understanding our experience for today. That sounds good?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. Wow. Right now, I mean, I guess being the last one to speak, I want to use this opportunity to say how grateful I am. I'm also sad, because I know it was Edwin's idea to talk about fear. I know it's something that's very dear to him, and I'm a bit sad that he's not here today. He's at a convention, spreading more empathy. So I'm feeling so grateful and sad that Edwin is not here. And also, I'll stop here for now.
So I hear you say that you're very grateful for this fear empathy circle, and at the same time you're feeling sad because Edwin isn't here, and fear is very important to him in the empathy work he does. Yeah,
and I was a bit nervous to talk about fear. I think everybody was, and it's also like a bit nerve-wracking, to try to be the host and do a good job. So always a bit of fear of that, and every time I was tired as well, like Tamara today, and I felt energized. I feel energized I feel connected with all of you, even though you are everywhere in the world. And that gives me hope. Yeah, like really gives me hope that it's important to talk about those things. And I join Sophia on that. That is, it is part of our human experience, and not denying it is a first step to recovery, and first step to connecting with each other, and not to be afraid of each other.
So I hear you say there was some anxiety on your part as you were the facilitator for this event, and the experience has been a wonderful gift to you, and you are so happy that you've been part of this.
Yeah, I love that you use the word gift. Nice word. It is a gift. And I heard someone said, I don't know if that was actually in NVC or in an empathy circle, I heard someone say, when you choose, because it's a choice as well, when you choose to give empathy to someone, when you choose to, you know, hold your tongue for a second and listen to the person being fully present, is a gift. And I remember thinking, wow, it can be Christmas every day. Can you imagine?
So I hear you saying that when one chooses to be empathic, one is giving someone a gift of empathy.
Yeah. And I do think receiving a gift is beautiful, and really, yeah, just, it is a beautiful thing. That's all.
It's a beautiful thing to receive a gift.
Yeah, yeah. I have no more to add. Like, I'm feeling fully heard. Thank you, Bob. I really feel my heart warm.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we are at 15 minutes before the end, and I want to thank everybody. Right now, I'm going to stop the video for a second.